everyone, and welcome to day 1 of Unit 3, which is on reflections. This is my first video that I'm making on one of our full distance days, so bear with me while I try to film this while at home. So day 1 is on reflections, and of course we all know what reflections are just in general. When you look in a mirror, you see your reflection, and it's kind of a reverse image of yourself. In geometry, it's the same thing, except we usually reflect over either a line or a plane. In this case, we'll focus on lines, and we'll reflect an image, either a shape or whatever, across that line. So the line of reflection is the line that we reflect across. If I could spell, I don't think I can. I think there's only one C across. There we go. Okay, so there's different kinds of reflections. These are the main 4 that we're going to go over. The first is reflected over the x-axis. So when you reflect a point across the x-axis, you take your point xy, that is the basic point on the xy axis, and you're going to change it to x comma negative y. So you're just going to change the sign on the y. So for example, I have my coordinate plane down here. If I plot this point, that point is at 2, 2 on the xy plane. And if I wanted to reflect it across that blue line, that x-axis line, I'm going to change the sign on my y. So my point 2, 2 would become 2, negative 2. I'll just change the sign on the y. And if I plot that point, I go 2, negative 2. That is my reflected point. And that is a reflection on the x-axis. Next, we'll have a reflection on the y-axis. It's very similar to reflection across the x-axis, except now our point xy is going to become negative x comma y. So same kind of thing, except now we're changing the sign on the x. So again, if I have my point 2, 2, I'm just going to keep using that point as a good example. 2, 2. 2, 2 will become, I'll need to change the sign on my x, negative 2 comma 2. And plot that there. And really quick, notice how my original point 2, 2 is 2 away from the line on the if I were to count it, it's 2 away. And so is my point, my new point, just going the opposite way. Okay. Next is reflecting over x equals y, or y equals x. This is a diagonal line that goes like that. And when you reflect across y equals x, it will become, so x comma y will become y comma x. So we're going to flip-flop our xy points. Let's pick a new point now. How about this one? This one is 3 comma 0. Now if I want to reflect that across my xy plane, I'm going to take my point 3 comma 0 and flip-flop my x and y point. So if this is my x and y, they have to switch places. So 0 comma 3. Just switch the places. And if I were to plot that point, 0 comma 3 would be right here. Right there. And last, reflecting across y equals negative x, which is a very similar line to the y equals x line, except going the other way. It's a negative slope line. And that my points now will become from xy, they will change to negative y comma negative x. So not only do I have to switch the x and y in their place, but I also have to change the signs on both. So if I take this point, 0 comma 3, 0 comma 3, and I want to reflect them across that line, I need to, 1, switch those numbers places, and then switch the signs. So now in the first spot is going to be a 3, my second spot is going to be a 0, and I need to switch the sign on the 3 to negative. If I were to switch the sign on the 0, it wouldn't really make a difference, so it's still just 0. And now I plot that point, that goes right there, negative 3 comma 0. And those are 4 of our reflections that we're going to deal with. And let's do these couple examples. I have my point A, and I want to reflect it across the x-axis, y-axis, y equals x, and then y equals negative x. So my 4 transformations that I just did up there. So if you remember, reflecting across the x-axis just changes the sign on my y. So if this is my x and y, x, y, my new point, we'll call it A prime. You might see that a lot with that little apostrophe there. We call that a prime. So that's A prime, which just means that's our new point. So I'm going to change the sign on my y. So 3, -2. Now when I change the sign for the y-axis, I'm changing the sign on my x. So this one is going to be -3, 2. Next is y equals x. That one, you just switch your places for your x and y. So my point 3, 2 will become 2, 3. And lastly, y equals negative x. Not only do they switch places, but they become negative. I switch the signs on both of them. So -2, -3. And those are my 4 points. Next one, we'll do B prime. So if you wanted to make little notes above those, you could. So this one would be x comma negative y, negative x comma y. Sorry, switch the ways that I do my x's and y's sometimes. Y comma x, negative y comma negative x. Good. Okay, so switching the sign on that y won't really do anything with b because that's a 0. So it's just the same point on this one. Switching the sign on 0 doesn't do anything. Next, I'm going to take my point and switch the sign on x to reflect it across the y-axis. Then I'm going to reflect it across that line y equals x by switching the places, so 0, 5, and then switching the signs again, so 0, -5. Again, switching the signs on 0 doesn't really do anything. And last one for this page, C prime. I need to switch the sign on my y. My y in this case is negative, which means it will become a positive. So -3, +1. Next, I'll do my y-axis, which is switching the sign on my x. Again, my x is also negative, so that is also going to become a positive. So 3, -1. Oop. 1. Then I'm going to reflect it across y equals x, so switch those places, -1, -3. And then to reflect across y equals negative x, I need to switch their places and then also switch their signs. So they will become 1, 3, both positive in this case. And that's that for that part. Let's move on to these next couple of examples. Reflect the following over the given line of reflection. In this case, our line of reflection is the x-axis, which is our horizontal line here. That's our x-axis. And I want to reflect this line segment across the x-axis. So one way to do this is you just look and you say, well, this point right here, I'm going to move this one first. Now, how many spaces away from the x-axis is that point? Well, I can count it. 1, 2. It is 2 away, going down. So to reflect it across the x-axis, I need to reflect it 2 away, going up, because right now it's going down. So if I go up 2 and put my new point there, that's a reflection. Same with this point. I'll count how many it is away. 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So it's 4 away going down, so my reflected point is going to be 4 away going up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. That is my reflected line. Easy. Next, let's reflect across the y-axis. This is my y-axis. And again, I have this nice little rectangle here that I'm going to reflect across there. I'm just going to look at each point or each corner individually and reflect it that way. So this point X is 1 away from the y-axis horizontally. It's going to the left on the y. So if I reflect it across the y, I need to go to the right one. Same with z. That one is 1 away, so it's going to be 1 away on that other side. We'll call this x prime and z prime. Now W is farther away. W is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So if I go from my y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4 away here, that'll give me my W prime. And Y, you can kind of just get the picture later. Boop, boop, ta-da! That is my reflected shape. Okay, number 6, reflect over Y equals X. So Y equals X is the point, or the line, sorry, that goes through the origin and goes up 1 over 1, all the way to the corner. I'm going to just draw in my line. Oh, that's a terrible line, but you know what? It's going to work. Ugh, gosh, terrible. Anyway, so I'm going to take my line, and remember, when you reflect across y equals x, I'm going to take my points x comma y and just flip their places, y comma x. So let's label these points. This point is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the x, comma, -2 on the y. It goes down 2. So if I were to reflect that across my green line, y equals x, I would need to switch those places. So my new point from 6, 2, 6 comma, or 6 comma -2, sorry, will become -2 comma 6. And if I were to plot that, -2 comma 6 goes -2 on the x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the y. -2 comma 6. Next point, this one right here is at 2 on the x and 1, 2, 3, -4 on the y. So 2 comma -4. Now that will become, again, I need to switch those places, -4 comma 2. So plot that point, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4 comma 2. That's right there. Connect the dots, done. Ta-da! And last one, reflecting over y equals -x. So y equals -x is that same line, but going the opposite way, like this. That's y equals -x. So to reflect across y equals -x, I'm going to take each of my points, y equals x, and change them into -y comma -x. So let's pick a point. I picked this one. That point is at 2, 2, 2, 2. Now if I'm going to take my point 2, 2 and reflect it across that line, y equals -x, I need to switch their x's and y's and then switch the signs. So 2, 2 switch is still just 2, 2, but I need to switch the signs. -2 comma -2. Plot that point right here, and that is F. Now let's do E. E is at the point 4 comma 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, yep. Now I'm needing to switch those and then switch the signs. So -2 comma -4. -2, -4 is right here. Next, let's do G. G is at 2, 4. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Now, again, switch the places and then switch the signs. -4 comma -2. -4, -2, right there. And last one is point D. Now D is at 0.44. That will become -4, -4. Bam, bam. Got a nice looking square. Cool. Now, reflection over the line y equals a number or x equals a number. Now, y equals a number is going to be a, I believe, hold on, a horizontal line, yes. And x equals a number is going to be a vertical line. So it'll follow most of the same rules as before, except now we're just shifting that point. So triangle JKL has the vertices JKL. JKL is right here. So finding the corresponding point for each vertex so that the vertex and its image are equidistant from the line y equals -4. So for these ones, I always recommend graphing it. So if I plot each point and then its reflection across this line, y equals 2. So the first thing I have to do is plot that line, y equals 2. Now that is going to be a horizontal line going through where y is 2. So y-axis, again, is the vertical axis. So I'm going to go to 2 on that axis, which is right here, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line going through that point. And then this is the line y equals 2. So I'm going to take all of these points and I'm going to reflect them across that line. So first thing I'm going to do is take my point M and I'm going to plot it. So M is at 4, 4. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is point M. So I'm going to look at my line that I need to reflect it across, and I'm going to start there, and I'm going to say, well, how many, or what's the distance away from point M and this line? So I can count it, 1, 2, just 2 away. And I say, well, if I'm going to reflect it across that line, it has to be 2 away the other way. So 2 away the other way, plot my point, ta-da, that's my new M. So M prime is at, what's that point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. Or 0. Next, point N is at -5, 2. -5, 2. Notice how it is on the axis. So reflecting it will not change it. I can apply that same logic of counting that I did to point M to point N, because I look and I say, well, how far away is point N from the line? Well, it's 0 away. Therefore, it won't change. So my N prime is also -5, 2. It is on the line of reflection. Next, P is at -2, -4. So -2, -4 is right here. That's point P. Now let's count. How far away is point P from my purple line? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away. So my new point has to also be 6 away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is my new P. So that is at point -2, 8. P prime is at -2, 8. Notice how my x-axis or my x point didn't change in any of those. Okay, I'm just going to skip number 11. It has some stuff in it that we haven't learned yet, so you can go ahead and cross that one out. So moving on to number 12. Given the quadrilaterals J, K, L, and M and its image, so the image is the translated shape. What am I writing? Shape. So if I have a point, bam, and I rotate it, so over here, this is the image. And we'll go over that some more too. Describe the transformation using coordinate notation. So I'm going to just look at all my points. First, let's look at point J is at -3, 1. And then look how it changed. So J changed to J prime. Again, that little apostrophe means prime. It changed to 1, 1, -3. Okay, let's do K next. K was at point -1, 3, and it changed to K prime, which was at 3, -1. Then we had L. L was at 1, 3. I'm just rewriting this in a way that we can see easier the relationships between each one. And last was M. M was at -3, -1, and changed to M prime, which was at -1, -3. Ah. So some of you might already see the pattern, but these have been rotated. If we look at J and the difference between J and J prime, we just say, well, to get from J to J prime, I just needed to switch those spots. Same with K. -1, 3 became 3, -1. I just switched the X and Y. Same with L. 1, 3 became 3, 1. M, -3, -1 became -1, -3. So which rotation do we have that involves switching the X and Y? Well, that would be reflected over Y equals X. So quadrilateral JKLM, JKLM was rotated, or sorry, reflected across, again, can't spell, glad I'm not an English teacher, the line Y equals X